Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and joining me by phone, we have Noah. How you doing, Noah?
Oh, I am all wired up and ready to rant, Mr. Miller.
I knew it. So for those of you who are unaware of this, Noah, in a prior part of his life, was a what would you call yourself? Professional, semi-professional, amateur? What kind of classification of boxer were you?
I was an amateur. I was an amateur boxer. Some would say decorated amateur. I fought I went in a boxing gym when I was about 11 years old, and I had my last fight when I was 21.
Okay. So for 10 years, you boxed, and given the fact that the whole world for at least one day gave a shit about boxing and watched the Netflix Paul versus Tyson special on Friday night, or at least attempted to, but we'll get to that in a second. Given the fact that everybody watched that, I figured, you know what? Let's get my resident boxing expert on the line to discuss his thoughts on how that event went, and just kind of give some boxing stories and kind of elaborate on a previously undiscovered aspect of Noah.
Oh, I'm intrigued. I'm sold, man.
There you go. So. Well, tonight you and I are going to be smoking the same cigar. It is a selection out of the gift pack from Pulpit Fest. We're going to be smoking the ATL Magic Robusto. It is 5x50 Bellicoso. 5x52, 5x52 Bellicoso, featuring a Mexican San Andreas wrapper and binder and filler from Nicaragua. And according to the notes that I found online, this should feature flavor notes of pepper, cocoa, earth, leather, and espresso. Yeah, so we got that going on. And it's time to cut the cigar, and the official cutting of the cigar is brought to you guys by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and great customer service. I don't know what else you could possibly want from a cigar website. So please go to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase. Tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. And with that, it's time to go ahead and cut the cigar. And yes, I said .com because you know what? I don't care if the YouTube AI has a problem with that or not. It is what it is. We'll figure it out one way or the other. So, yeah.
We will have back-to-back rant shows, I believe.
Oh, yeah. We've got... I mean, I'll say the reaction. It's been slow. I feel like people are still catching up after the 3-hour election day episode with Tremac. The episodes since then have been a little slow to get their feet underneath them. I feel like people are catching up after the marathon episode with Tremac.
Yeah, you might have had to break that one up in a couple of
listenings. But dude, that was not one. You know what? You just gotta put it out there. Rogan and various other, they don't break it up. They just put it out and let it deal.
Right.
So
I'm saying from a listener perspective.
I get it. But anyway, the bottom line is, what I was getting at though is that I have been getting very good feedback on my YouTube rant. People have been finding all sorts of various fucked up things on there to share with me, and it's funny how many different fucked up things people know about on YouTube, and yet cigars are the things that get picked on. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, you just rant and you find another medium and you give the big middle finger to YouTube, and censorship is what you do.
Well, I'm on Rumble, and I have gotten the Spotify video set up and going, so you can watch on Spotify if you don't want to watch on Rumble. You can still watch on YouTube, at least, for a little while.
For now.
For now, But
and what I was thinking too the whole time you were ranting, which was nice to see that other side of Nick, the fiery,
I can be pissed off.
yeah. It's a legal product we're talking about, like it's a legal product,
Right.
Like,
right.
In some states, marijuana federally marijuana is not legal,
Yep.
and then there's plenty videos and marijuana, and
Dude,
it's
I literally found a video.
Tobacco.
I literally found a video of the best place that tells you the best places to sell cocaine.
Yeah.
I mean, cocaine's not legal, and selling it is definitely not legal. And yet there's an instructional video of the best places to sell cocaine.
It's an upside down world that's hopefully going to get back on track here, but that's a rant for another day.
That's a whole different rant. So,
Yeah.
Well, while we light the cigar, let's go ahead and hear the greatest commercial you've ever heard.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame.
Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino Corojo.
Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused.
I guess that's so, they can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars uses authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard. Yeah.
There we go. And I have
I swear that commercial gets longer every time.
I know, right? So, before we get into the main topic at hand, I have one brief little bit of news. Or not even news, just one little thing to discuss. So, this weekend, I took a little time, and the fairgrounds near me, the county fairgrounds, every month, the third weekend of the month, they have a flea market. And, you go, you see the shit, and you leave. And, realistically, I try to go twice a year. That way, you don't need to go every month. I go maybe twice a year because there's some vendors that go, in the warmer months. There's some that go in the winter months and that sort of thing. And so I went this Saturday, and there were plenty of vendors, but there was one guy that had a bunch of video games, and I kind of was just passing his booth by. But then I noticed a random box on the edge of his booth. And I went over to look at it, and it was little glass ashtrays. And so I just started looking through, and I found two of them that I was pretty interested in. And I asked the guy, I'm like, how much for these? And he goes, 1 for $3 or 2 for $5. So I'm like, sold. And so I not only bought a Del Taco ashtray, with the logo all up in there. I'm showing the people on the video here. But I also bought an Arby's glass. Both of these are glass, mind you. An Arby's ashtray featuring Arby's roast beef sandwiches with the logo. And I have a fascination with restaurant ashtrays, like branded restaurant ashtrays, because there's that amber colored McDonald's one, the glass McDonald's one. Dude, that McDonald's ashtray goes for like $300 consistently on eBay. It's ridiculous how much money people are willing to spend on a McDonald's ashtray. And so, I was thinking, maybe Arby's and Del Taco are worth something, right?
All right.
And I Google them, and go to eBay. I look at prior sold, ashtrays. I find my ashtrays and look at them recently. And these ashtrays that I spent $5 on, I can probably put on eBay and make somewhere between 50 and $60 total for the two of them. They're each selling for about anywhere between $20 and $30.
That's nice. Are you gonna sell, or are you gonna start a new hobby?
I'm gonna hang on to them for a minute. I'm gonna see, what's what. I mean, I figure every year that goes by with another year that the smoking bans are in place and whatever. I mean, they're just getting older and more rare. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they're small. It's not like they take up room. I kind of like them for nothing else. Like if, let's say, I had like a handful of people over and we were all smoking and I didn't want to get out like one big communal ashtray. Everybody could have their own little ashtray,
Yeah, that's I thought about collecting ashtrays because it is kind of cool. Because it's kind of like an Americana type of thing, right?
100%.
Old like retired like Vegas hotels and stuff.
Yep.
I just didn't want to go down that rabbit hole. And next thing I know, I'm just got thousands of ashtrays. But
well, I don't need thousands, but
that's how I am. It's like if I start something, I just balls in and just obsessed with. And
well, like there was one other one that I was thinking about, and it was a Holiday Inn ashtray. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to the restaurant ones, and I didn't do it. And yeah, and what's funny, I did tell the guy after I bought them, I was like, man, if you ever see a McDonald's one, you better look at that. That thing's worth some money. And he probably got to thinking after I left, like, if McDonald's is worth money, I wonder what those were worth. And he probably Googled and realized that he just sold me these two ashtrays, and he could have made about 10 times what he sold them for. But whatever.
That's such his life.
His problem, not mine.
Yeah, like it just seems like a whole like another lifetime ago where you could smoke in a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And when you break it down, it wasn't that long ago,
Dude, I mean, we were kids.
Yeah. Like, I remember smoking in non-smoking sections, which always, even as a kid, I was like, this doesn't make sense. But
yeah.
yeah, it's just, and like McDonald's, everything McDonald's is collectible,
So it's okay. Funny thing, I have another flea market story. So I like to find street signs for my son's room at the flea market. And I found, few. I have like a one-way and a stop and various things. But I found one, and it's a handicap parking sign. But it's a McDonald's handicap parking sign. So it not only has the handicap parking thing on it, but then it has the golden arches underneath it and the logo. And so it's both a handicap parking sign and McDonald's memorabilia. And so I have this weird McDonald's handicap sign.
Yeah, dude. People go crazy over like Coca-Cola and McDonald's. I mean, there's Disney. Like people like, all that shit holds their value.
Disney's a whole nother fucking thing, but we won't get into that, But
it's I think somewhere I want to say I have like an old Sands hotel ashtray somewhere.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah.
But that would be a fun collection, especially if you had like a lounge, or like a recording studio, and you could just fill empty space, decoration.
All these little ashtrays all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the topic at hand. So Friday night, Netflix decided that they were going to do their first live streaming sporting event, correct? It was their first sports event?
That sounds right.
I mean, I know they did. I know they live streamed the Tom Brady roast.
Yes.
But
that never had any issues.
No, but I don't think that got nearly the viewership that this got.
No.
And so, throughout the whole Tyson Paul fight event, although it did seem like once the third fight, the women, once that kind of started, I never had any more problems.
No, I was not as fortunate. I bet you 3 times during the main event I had buffering issues where I had to log back out.
Okay.
And I think that was, I can't speak for everybody, but I think a lot of people had kind of issues into the main event. I know it was getting really bad, and then it basically millions of people at the same time quit buffering and just saw Tyson's bare ass, which was probably the highlight of my week. But
It was funny as shit, dude. They like cut to his son and they did this little interview in the locker room and he's all, love you, and they did this little kiss. Next thing you know, Tyson just walks away and you just see his bare ass as he's walking away. And I'm like, oh shit.
like I busted out laughing, and
So
like,
did I.
My first thought was like, well, this is gonna be a meme.
Oh, and it has been.
The internet won again.
Yeah,
in that case.
So Netflix had some real streaming issues, and I think one of the big takeaways from this was you can't tell me that TKO, the parent company of WWE, wasn't on the phone with Netflix, if not that night, then definitely first thing Saturday morning, saying, you guys know that we're going to be streaming Raw, Monday Night Raw, like starting in January. Like, are you going to have your shit together for that?
Yeah, somebody definitely got fired.
Yeah,
I'm willing to bet
this.
Like,
and here's the real bitch. I saw lots of people talking about how they reached out to Netflix about it, and Netflix told them, "Oh, it's not us, it's your connection." And it's like, fuck you. The fact that people around the world are bitching about this tells you it wasn't individual connections. It was Netflix.
Yeah, a lot of the time they're like, check your route, like the screen would pop up. Oh, it might be a router. And say, no, it's not. And I don't know if I read this or heard this or if this is true or not, but I think they were in talks. Netflix was in talks of maybe getting the next Super Bowl or something like that.
Really?
So, bottom line, they should have I don't know how this whole part of the shit goes, but they had known they were going to get lots of. They should have done some trial runs or
100%.
Like a company that big.
Yep.
Yeah, they can't. They got you got to deliver at the end.
Yeah, no, you do. You got and you have to over prepare. Like when you think, oh, we're gonna have 2 million people watch this, you need to prepare for 5. That. When you're talking this kind of computing power and streaming power and capability, you need to prepare for that because you don't know. Because dude, there were Top Shooters was streaming it, so people that didn't have Netflix at home could have gone to Top Shooters to watch the fight. So you had restaurants, you had bars, you had. I'm confident. I am 100% confident there were cigar shops that were streaming it. Friday night.
Sure. I'm sure. Yeah, most lounges are equipped with Netflix.
Exactly.
I'm sure a lot of people got together, and I think I read this too that some people, if you what do you call it? If you loaded the app through your phone, and then had it swapped on the TV, it worked better. But I don't know.
See, I tried at one point when it was buffering at home. I tried loading it on my phone, and it also wouldn't work. But then the minute it came back on my phone is the minute it came back on the TV. So I don't know, whatever. But
so we're starting ahead, but we need to go way back. Okay,
I'm gonna let you guide this conversation from here because I'll be honest, this was I'll be straight with you. This was my first time actually sitting down and watching a boxing event, with the exception of. So here in St. Louis, we have a charitable organization called Backstoppers, and they raise money to help support the families of fallen first responders. And every year they have a boxing event on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving at the arena where the Blues play, called Guns and Hoses, and it's firemen versus police. And I've been to the Guns and Hoses event a number of years. I stopped going the year of Ferguson, and because we won't. There's a lot to that. But anyway, well, they canceled it that year. They moved it, whatever. Anyway, the bottom line is, it's a huge event, but it's amateur boxing. It's it's cops and firemen, and what I find interesting about it is that the cops and the men, they kind of tend to dance around the ring and they act like they're professional. You know, it's like they rarely want to hit each other unless they're going to go for like a big punch and all. The women, though, they just come out swinging and beating the piss out of each other, and that's way more entertaining. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway, so that's my only experience with boxing. Other than this, I mean, I never watched like on Showtime and all the various other things. You know, so
sure. And I think honestly, and that's kind of the sad part too, is I think your experience is probably not unlike a lot of people that watched last night too. You know, one of their and this is what you know. But so like you know, how do I pigeonhole this without sounding like a douchebag? I can be on here and I can talk about cigars and I can talk about snakes and I can talk about boxing and I can talk about Robert De Niro because you know I've fucking 20 plus years in every one of these. You know it. Yeah. So
there was a reason you were the guy I was texting throughout the event.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way I tell stuff, and I don't know how well this is gonna do, but I'm gonna go way back, and we're gonna work up, and it's gonna be we're gonna go down tunnels and holes and shit, but I'll get there eventually. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So put on your seatbelt. All right. So basically, I was getting inundated, not just last night, but like all throughout the week of people I don't usually talk to, people I haven't talked to in a while. Oh, you're gonna watch the fight. You're gonna watch the fight, and you know, I think the last time I probably got this much people reaching out to me from just all walks of life, people I know in various different circles. I think the last time was probably Pacquiao Mayweather.
Okay.
And so, yeah, my phone is just being inundated. And I was like, you know, I don't fucking, I mean, maybe I'll catch it. Like there's I don't know. Yeah. You saw the, was it the third fight in the belt, Mario Barrios defending his welterweight title?
Yes. I saw all four fights that night.
So I was going to probably tune in to watch that fight because that was like a legitimate fight.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I'll catch the event. But my wife, you know, who doesn't watch boxing normally, was like, I want to watch it. So I was like, okay, all right. So I'll watch it. But
it kind of took on legs as like a little bit of a cultural moment.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of a cultural, kind of a car accident. Sort of thing. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm a guy. Let's see. Let's start. So when I first started fighting, I was, like I said, I was 11. I got into boxing, probably similar to how a lot of other people did. So basically, my first ever thought of boxing, ironically, was probably Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Okay. And you're of the same age, so you're probably familiar with that game. And
dude,
so I was like,
played the hell out of that when I was a kid. Yeah.
All right, this is cool. And then I think the first fight I ever vividly remember watching was when George Foreman came back out of retirement to knock out Michael Moore for the heavyweight title. And so that would have been 1994.
Wait, the Bowling for Columbine guy?
So what? Oh no! There's like what? I wish George. The heavyweight champion in the world. He was actually the first. Actually, this is this will all tie together. But he was the first left-handed. We call them southpaws. First left-handed heavyweight champion. And his trainer was Teddy Atlas, who was actually the trainer of Mike Tyson.
Okay.
But anyways, so around that same time was early 90s. I got into boxing to kind of as like a weight loss. I was a pretty heavy kid, and then once I was in there, I started watching fights. So I've basically been watching fights since about the early 90s. Okay. And Tyson at this point already had his, he was already the baddest man on the planet. But by the time I got into it, he had already lost. He lost the heavyweight title in 1990 in a huge, probably one of the biggest sports upsets period, to Buster Douglas in Tokyo, Japan, 1990. And but yeah, the legend of Mike Tyson was already there and ever present, and that like the whole nostalgic fact of this fight, kind because like the way media and the way they were doing things is like Instagram and everything was like inundated, and they did all this shoulder programming of showing these clips of Mike Tyson in his heyday and knocking out, people left and right. But people got that impression that, oh my God, he's gonna murder Jake Paul, and that's what I kept getting is people being like, oh man, Tyson's gonna murder. I'm like, no, not a chance. Like I was like, not because they have this idea in their head. They're picturing prime Mike Tyson. Well, a lot of people don't realize that his last 3 fights were against I should say his last 2 fights were against absolute journeymen who knocked him out and he quit. And that was over 25 years ago. Okay.
Now what is this fight he did in 2020?
That was an exhibition against Roy Jones Jr. So which was what this should have been. This Jake Paul thing should have been an exhibition because they were doing exhibition rules. I mean, they were doing 2-minute rounds. They were doing it was only 8 rounds. They used 14-ounce gloves. I mean, those are not rules of a professional boxing match. So that it should not be but I don't know if it's part of the negotiations or what, but it is an official fight. It's on both of their records. So,
oh wow, okay,
yeah. But anyway, to kind of put a ribbon on this, people were like texting me like, oh, he's Jake Paul is going to get murdered. I was like, not a chance, because 25 years ago, Tyson was shot 25 years ago. And there's the Boxing Hall of Fame in upstate New York, and I've been there 2 times. And it's unlike anything else. Like they have it's in this unincorporated town up in upstate New York, and every year they induct people, and all these fighters, past champions, current fighters, they all like literally take over the city, and it's like thousands of people. And you're literally bumping into all these former champions. Any boxing fan should definitely make the pilgrimage up there. But I was there when one of my favorite fighters got inducted, and I remember there's at one point I was just sitting there, and some guy comes up to me and he said, "Would you like a picture with the last guy who retired, Mike Tyson?" And I'm like, no, not really. And so I kind of went on my way, and then I saw he went to somebody else. And basically, long story short, this guy's name is Kevin McBride. He's a guy he was an absolute journeyman, but he was like trying to get people to take a photo with him, and then he was charging like $10, $15, whatever. And I mean, that just shows you the kind of level of fighter. I mean, he was an absolute, just journeyman novice, and he beat Tyson, and that was 25 years ago. And so that's the type of Tyson I knew you were going to get. And in 25 years, you're not getting better, especially when you smoke weed and do mushrooms every day before your fucking training camp.
Not to mention the fact that in was it June or July, he got really, really sick and needed a big blood transfusion and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, they postponed this fight because he had some sort of what was it? Was it sciatica, or it was some old man disease where he passed out on the plane.
Yeah.
All these health issues, and then he had a bad knee and all this. So people are like thinking they're getting, a 1985 Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah.
And they're getting a shot Mike Tyson who quit against Kevin McBride 25 years ago. And that's what I'm trying to tell people. And like, so as a fighter, or even just as a non-fighter, the first thing to go is your legs, okay? And
that seemed obvious.
Yeah. So, and when I say the first thing to go to is your legs, what that means basically is your balance is gone. Your center of gravity is gone. If you ever watch like go on any YouTube rabbit holes where you watch like old men fight and they'll like throw a punch and they'll like fall over.
Mm-hmm.
It's your whole center of gravity's gone. And even if you're in good shape, you're not in boxing shape, right?
Yeah.
And couple that with you're just basically to narrow it down to one term. The first thing to go beyond your legs is a spider web, and after that is your punch resistance. Your punch resistance is gone. You just can't take a punch. And it doesn't matter how good a shape you are in, or, muscular or cardio-wise, you just can't train yourself. You can't get your punch resistance back, and his is gone 25 years ago, like I said.
For sure.
And then all these highlights of him, like you've probably seen it, like on Instagram, where he's hitting these pads for like 30 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 30 seconds, and you don't see what happens after the video. I'm sure he's sore, and he's not getting hit back, and the whole like the subtleties of like related to your legs is of like cutting that distance off, getting to the target. I mean, that's all gone. Basically, you can't tell what you need to do, but you can't communicate that to your legs to move, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to tell people is like, the question is not if Jake Paul can take Mike Tyson's shit. I mean, Mike Tyson can still, hit hard. But you're looking at the wrong way. Is what's going to happen when he gets hit back.
Yeah.
And so I knew going into it that this is going to be a fucking douchebag beating up an old man. And
well, it was.
And I think everybody, you talk to any fighters, any former fighters, they all knew that. And the only way that this fight got approved is a lot of people denied it. The only commission that would approve it is Texas. That's why it was in Texas at the Cowboy Stadium.
And all three judges for that fight were from Texas. I did notice that. The other three fights of the night had judges from Canada and other places, but the Tyson fight, all three judges were Texans.
Yeah, so Texas has a very bad history of, like, I don't want to say corruption, but like it's kind of like there's a lot of shenanigans going on in Texas. You can get fights approved that other commissions aren't, and there are a lot of dubious decisions and just all kind of just shady shit goes on. So I mean, it's no coincidence that this fight took place in Texas.
Okay.
And so all that going into it too, like Jake Paul, I think he fought like, I don't know, however long ago, maybe a year ago or something, but he has gained in this past year over 30 pounds in less than a year.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And it is no coincidence that Texas doesn't require very extensive drug testing. And usually what happens in a fight of this magnitude, or where there's large purses, you do what's called you get VADA testing, which stands for Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency. So you basically do all these thorough things, and it comes out of your purse. So the promoters and stuff don't really want to pay for it unless it's a bigger event where they can kind of cushion a lot of that blow. Well, obviously, Jake Paul, I think he got $50 million, and it was his promotional company. There's no coincidence that they didn't do VADA testing. That's all I'm saying. So you basically have a juiced out 27-year-old fighting a 58-year-old man who is shot.
Yeah.
And so that's what I kept trying to tell people. And I was genuinely concerned for like safety of Mike Tyson. I thought he was going to get seriously hurt because boxing is the oldest sport that there's ever been, and there's about, I would say on average, probably a dozen deaths a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with just the extreme measures to make weight. You're just very you see this a lot in the lower weight classes where you're just struggling as hell to get down to weight, and you're just depleted and you're dry and you get hurt, and you go in a coma. Actually, the reason boxing championships are 12 rounds and they used to be 15 in the 80s is there was a guy named Ray Mancini he killed this guy on live CBS television. This guy went into a coma and never woke up. And so they're like, we need to do some stuff. We need to switch it to. So I mean, it's a dangerous sport. It's no joke. And I mean, nobody's ever heard of fighting a 58-year-old.
Yeah.
So like I legit thought something like that was going to happen, and I thought Paul was going to stop him. Now Paul, that's a whole nother thing. Paul is at best to be the most credible. I fucking can't stand Jake Paul. Okay.
No, I get it.
But
I mean, that was incredible. The whole thing was incredibly douchey. Him, saying that he's going to knock him the fuck out, and then coming in a truck, playing In the Air Tonight, which was Tyson's song from The Hangover, and having a pigeon in the cage. I mean, it was like just taunting this man the whole time.
I mean, and he stepped on his toe at the press conference.
And what was up with him getting sprayed with this bullshit the whole time? He was spraying himself with some fragrance, like every time you saw him, he was doing that.
He's a fucking piece of shit. And so basically what happens is you'll start fighting as an amateur, and generally the experience is kind of similar to mine. You start really young. You'll start around between 7 to 10, 12 years. You'll fight, you'll go to the tournaments, you'll turn pro, et cetera, and then you're building your record up. And by about your 10th fight, even if you are a decorated amateur, you're starting out like I used to do what's called pro-am shows. So basically it would be the amateurs would have, I don't know, 4 fights or whatever, and then on that same card there'd be like 4 professional fights, and I would often headline the amateur portion, and then the pros would, and then they would go on the pros. And so I got to know a lot of these pro fighters. I got to train with a lot of these pro fighters, and you're making, when you're starting out, probably about you're making about $100 a round. Okay?
Oh shit. Okay.
And so, and I had worked with guys. I worked out with guys who had fought on ESPN and stuff, and they're still having to work. A full. I knew this one guy who had fought on ESPN a couple times. I think he had probably about 20 fights or something. But he would work. He had to work full time at a distribution center over in Troy, Michigan. I think it was Kmart at the time or something. You'd work the night shift, get done, train, raise a family. I mean, you're not making, it's not like boxing is kind of it's a world of its own. It's not like any other professional sports where there's even the worst baseball player or the worst football players, getting banked. You have a league minimum where you're doing okay. But boxing's not that way. I mean, like I said, if you're a club level fighter, you're making probably depending on how many fights you have a year, you're probably $20,000 maybe a year.
Okay.
And that is just your earnings. You're going to have to pay your gym fees, your corner. A lot of times you're having to do all these expenses as far as travel out of your pocket. So I mean, you can't support yourself. So it's really frustrating to see somebody like at that same skill level as a Jake Paul and getting paid $20 million, $30 million, and Jake Paul, a lot of people, again, don't know what the hell they're watching, and he has fought exactly 3 boxers, okay? he has fought MMA fighters, basketball players, YouTubers, I mean, Uber drivers, whatever the fuck. He's fought exactly 3 boxers. He won 2 of them, and then the first actual credible fighter, Tyson Fury's brother, Tommy Fury, he beat him. So, basically, Jake Paul is just this douchebag, somehow millionaire. I'm pretty sure he sold his soul to the devil, to be honest with you.
He and his brother Logan.
Yeah, but he, at the end of the day, he's a novice fighter, but he's 27-year-old. He's in good shape. He's beating an old man. So so what we got is basically exactly what I thought we would get. You saw Tyson not being able to cut off the ring. You saw Tyson punch resistance gone. Tyson had openings, he wasn't able to take them. And if anything, the showcase that how shitty of a fighter Paul was, because the fact that he didn't, knock him out in the first couple rounds just speaks to his inability. But
I know I've seen some people online trying to say that, oh, Jake Paul was so kind to Mike because he saw that Mike couldn't do it, and he went ahead and let him do this and this and this and whatever, and gave Mike the payday. Because I that's the other thing I'm hearing about is that the contract that for Mike to get a payday out of this, he had to basically go the 8 rounds and and all that.
I think it's just internet and rumors and conspiracy theories. Basically, it was a shitty fight that should never have happened. He should not be getting paid money, and I mean, you get what you got, and you got a shitty fight, and the problem is you have like millions of people watching this fight or trying to watch this fight, thinking this is what boxing is, and they're watching this, and it's fucking a travesty, and I fucking hated it. And you added all the buffering issues to that. And all the fucking trolls on the internet thinking Jake Paul, could fight fucking whoever. I mean, he's a novice fighter beating up an old man. It's fucking pathetic. It wasn't even the best fight I saw this weekend. I'm a guy who watches boxing every weekend. I've probably watched tens of thousands of fights in my lifetime. It was horrible. I hated it. It's exactly what I thought would happen. And yeah, and the thing of it is, it's people that watch it and are going to continue to watch it. He has no incentive to fight anybody. He'll fight another MMA fighter, get another $50 million. The other side of his mouth claiming he could fight, any fighter, any novice level fighter would walk right through Jake Paul.
So all right, I want to hit this button real quick since I meant to do this in the beginning because this is basically one big long entertainment report. So let's do this real quick.
Yes.
It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. Okay, so
Renee's getting his money's worth today.
He is, mm-hmm. Because this is what we watched. So okay, let's kind of recap your thoughts on the 4 matches. Do you have thoughts on the other 3 matches as well?
Well, I came in. I didn't watch the first fight on the broadcast.
The fight did not go well. The first fight I feel like was fairly. I'm trying to even remember who it. Do you know who it was?
I don't know. I don't even know who
there was one gentleman. It's 2 guys, and one guy was really all tattooed up, and he was a comedian. I should know this. I should have fucking had this in my prepared, but I didn't. Anyway, the bottom line is he didn't do well and he lost. So we can just skip that first one. That first one was not really anything to take note of. I feel like, in my opinion, the 2 fights of the evening that were the most entertaining, and you might disagree with me for a variety of different reasons, but in terms of as a novice watching the fights, I feel like the second fight of the evening between was it Ramos and
Abel Ramos against Mario Barrios.
And I feel like that was a really decent fight.
That's championship level fight. Mario Barrios holds a welterweight title.
I mean, that was 12 rounds, and Mario Barrios, in the beginning he seemed to really come out strong, but then Ramos kind of came along, and I mean that was a really good back and forth fight.
Yeah, that was a good fight. It was enjoyable, and because they're on such a wide, it's good for their career. They got these. They got paid well, and they're going to get lots of exposure, so that's all good. So yeah, that was a good fight. And that's another thing too. When they have these big, Netflix type broadcasts, they're pulling out all the stops as far as features and stuff, and they're just trying to get a bunch of celebrities.
Yeah.
But the commentating was not very good. I mean,
Fucking Rosie Perez.
yeah.
What was Rosie Perez doing there, doing commentary? I mean, like,
exactly. Yeah,
come
they're
on.
just cashing in on that. Yeah, just.
I mean, I'll give her credit. She seemed like she understood boxing, and she she knew kind of what she was talking about. But like, really, Rosie Perez?
Yeah, she's basically just a boxing fan. I haven't really met her, but I've been in the same building with her a couple rows away at some other fights and stuff.
Yeah.
She's basically just a boxing fan. But yeah, not the best commentator, but it's just getting that celebrity appeal. And I don't want to get you canceled or anything.
Oh boy.
But I've just never the women's boxing just doesn't do it for me. It's different rules. I'm trying to be very diplomatic, but like the talent pool is very limited. So I think as of a couple of years ago, I think there was just over 200 licensed women fighters.
Okay.
Across 17 weight classes. So I mean, there's not just much competition, and as far as even being allowed, we're going like I think 20 years maybe women's boxing has been around.
Okay.
Maybe 10 years of any significance. I think the first Olympics they were allowed at was 2012 for boxing,
which is where the Irish gal, I believe.
Katie Taylor. So based on that, she's probably the best of the bunch of women's boxing. It's not saying much. It's just, I mean, no fault to them. I mean, I don't want to sound chauvinistic. I just don't think women should be fighting. It's just like different folks, different strokes. Like it's just never. I've never gotten into it, and I think a lot of it is a lot of these commentators and stuff. I mean, they can't say that, so they have to kind of pretend that they like it. You know, it's just they don't want to get canceled. So you've seen this lately a lot of times. They're getting put on cards a lot more than they used to, just kind of getting their foot there. I mean, a lot of it is no fault to them. I mean, there's just not that. Some trainers won't work at them, and there's not many women for them to fight. But it just doesn't do it for me. Even the best women fighter, they're sloppy. They're not turning their punches over. Like Katie Taylor was leaning with her head every time.
Yeah, there were a lot of headbutts going on there.
Yeah. And
that was, I know, a point of controversy in that fight.
Yeah. And that's not an intentional thing. I think that's just a lack of knowing what you're doing. You're leaning with your head when you throw a punch. Your punch is coming over your lead foot. It's just, I mean, plus both of those fighters, this was a rematch, and they're kind of over the hill. Serrano was fighting like 3 weight classes up.
Yeah.
And again, that speaks to just the lack of women fighter. There's nobody from the fight, so they have to jump these weight classes.
Yeah. And
then Katie Taylor, I want to say she's like 37 or something. So, I mean, it's just, it doesn't do it for me. So I was doing other shit while that was going on.
I will say, as somebody who is sitting and watching, and again, somebody who has no like prior, knowledge or anything like that, of the 2 fights that we're kind of focusing on, the second one with Ramos and Barrios, and then this one, I do feel like the women's fight was, at least as a novice viewer, it was entertaining. It was it was violent as hell, and they
were both very competitive.
I mean Serrano.
I mean, Amanda Serrano. Man.
She got her fucking eye split open.
Yeah,
and like that was fucking brutal to watch. The whole time I'm just like sitting there cringing every time they fucking show her eye, And that kind of goes. I mean, so I can't say like because I was kind of in and out, not really watching it. And usually, if I'm really focused on a fight, I'll score it because how boxing works is it's basically you got to look at generally a championship fight is 12 rounds. Well, you're not when you score a fight, it's not judged as a whole. So essentially, you're basically judging 12 separate fights. Yeah.
as rounds. And then, and then it's all math at that point. So I wasn't scoring the fight, but for what I did see, being not paying full attention, it did look like Serrano clearly won. And again, as I was talking to about the Texas commissions are notorious for just having shitty decisions, and that's why a lot of people don't want to fight in Texas. And it looked like Katie Taylor got away with one.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if you heard it when Serrano's I don't know if that's manager, coach, whatever it was, when he got on the mic and started shit talking Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, did you hear all that?
Yeah, I caught that.
What were your thoughts on that? Because that kind of felt, I mean, maybe it's just me, but my thought on it was like, dude, this is coming across as kind of sour,
Yeah, it was definitely sour grapes.
Yeah.
I mean, he did have some points, but it's like, it's he's just trying to get basically another fight, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she probably deserved the fight. But I mean, it's just not something that the world should be seeing. And it kind of had the same thing with Pacquiao and Mayweather too. Like that happened. That was a huge fight. It's the biggest fight that's ever happened. You had people watching it that weren't normally watching it, but essentially you had guys probably 5 years at a minimum past their prime. I mean, it should have happened a long time ago. So it's like not the most exciting fight for the world to be watching. And it's just, like I said, this weekend had tons of great fights on that Saturday, but nobody's focused on that. They're focused on this, Jake Paul and, whatever, what was it, like 60 million people ended up watching or something.
Now, the one thing I will say, that took place on Friday night. The Jake Paul thing did take place on Friday night. So theoretically, anybody who wanted to watch more boxing this weekend, it sounds like they could have found it on Saturday as well.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like boxing is its own worst enemy at times. So back in my day, if you wanted to watch boxing, it was basically HBO or Showtime. So before my time, it would be when boxing, in the 70s and stuff, would have more of a place of prominence. They would have fights on mainstream TV, CBS, whatever it was. And then closed circuit came into being. So theaters, a lot of Ali's fights and stuff, a lot of Sugar Ray Leonard's fights would be in the theaters. They would broadcast them in theaters, but the fights would be like Wednesdays or Thursday nights because the theaters wanted the weekends for actual movies. So a lot of they would do closed circuit fights in movie theaters and bars and stuff. And a lot of that's how you would consume your boxing in the 70s. Well, then HBO came along and they moved boxing to a subscription model. So if you wanted boxing, basically the best boxing anyway, you would get HBO, and then a couple years later Showtime came along, so that's how you would consume your boxing. On that model, they would still have lower level fights on ESPN and stuff like that, but your big championship level boxing would be your HBOs, your Showtimes. Well, that ended with HBO when HBO got out of it, and then Showtime a couple years later. So then everything's streaming now, and it's basically you get Top Rank has an agreement currently with ESPN. So to get Top Rank Boxing is through it. You'd have to have the ESPN Plus app.
Okay.
The other main promoters are Golden Boy, Matchroom, Queensberry, and they all subscribe to this model now. It's been going on 4 or 5 years, called The Zone. So that's what I have. It's an app essentially just for boxing, and it's I want to say it's about $250 a year.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, but there's fights every weekend. But that, I mean, not that many.
I guess that comes down to like $20 a month.
Yeah.
A little over $20 a month, but
yeah. And that's basically where all your boxing is. But your average person doesn't know about that. I mean, they're not going to go out of their way to have. I mean, boxing, like I said, it's its own worst enemy in that regard, just not having stuff. Because, I mean, it's the oldest sport in existence. It's going to thrive. Everybody wants a good fight. They're just, when they have a big opening like this, where all eyes are on it, they just shoot themselves in the foot every time. I mean, you could really grow an audience, especially somebody watching boxing for the first time. something would deliver, and then you would seek it out after the fact. But it's just you get this Jake Paul circus, and then people aren't going to want to watch that shit, and they're thinking that's what boxing is. And yeah, I watched over 5 hours of boxing on that Saturday. I was up all night watching, boxing. But the Saudi Arabia is basically supplying all the fights now, in the sense that they're trying to rebrand themselves as far as, hey, come over here. We don't just kill journalists. We're a good country. Come over here. It's good for tourism. So they have all this oil money that they basically is just a hobby horse for different people. So they have somebody in charge of sports over there, an oil sheik, and money is no object. So he's basically overpaying all these fighters, and he's making all those big fights. So, but a lot of them are, in Saudi Arabia or Saudi funded money, which is fine as a spectator, through the DAZN app, you can watch it. But, ain't nobody going over to Saudi Arabia that I know to watch a live fight. But I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm glad. I think boxing had a lot of potential to grab a hold of something, but I mean, you just had an old man get beat up by a douchebag who is delusional.
Yeah.
It was not a good night for that. It was not a good night for the streaming. I mean, honestly, a couple weeks from now, the only really lasting memory is going to be the buffering issue and Mike Tyson's bare ass, as far as I'm concerned.
Give or take. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well,
yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, it was unfortunate, but it's like I said, I was not surprised. The only surprising thing to me is that Paul didn't knock him out, because I mean, and maybe to be fair to him, maybe once it got to the last round or whatever, he's like, all right, well, I'll let him off the hook. And I did think he kind of took his foot off the gas a little bit, but
totally. I mean,
a lot of it.
Tyson, did Tyson even throw a punch in the last, 5 rounds of that fight?
Well, yeah. Again, he's gassed. I mean, he's 58.
I mean, dude, you could tell the guy was out of breath after he sat down at the end of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was huffing and puffing, gasping for air.
Yeah.
Taking his break in between the first round.
Yeah, I mean, they should be ashamed of. I mean, you could have had, with all these health shit going in, that just proves that the commission did not look thoroughly into that. I mean, you could have really had something serious on your hands here. And it was awful to watch. And yeah, I guess what I'm doing now is I'm using this platform to call out Jake Paul right now. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jake Paul versus Noah. There we go.
Yeah. I'll do it for free.
we get Jerry Pulaski to be the referee there.
I will do the blow by blow as it turns out.
Holy shit! I just Yeah, I'll admit, you're watching Tyson coming down the ramp to the ring.
It was fucking, dude. Honestly, it was fucking sad. It was fucking sad.
It was sad, because I'm sitting there and part of me is thinking this dude doesn't fucking look with it at all.
No.
But the other part of me is maybe he's completely in the zone, he's not even fucking blinking. Maybe he's ready to fight. And then he got in the ring, and I'm like, no, he's not ready to fight. He's just completely fucking out of it. And
no,
yeah, that's where it went.
I mean, Tyson, and people, especially your younger listeners, don't realize what a badass Tyson was. He was a very overrated heavyweight in the grand scheme of things. I mean, anytime,
he had a big hype machine behind him. I mean, you can't fault that, but yeah.
And anytime he stepped up in competition, he generally lost. Your Holyfields, your Lennox Lewis. But in his prime, he had the talent. He was mowing dudes over. He's actually pretty undersized, especially for a modern day heavyweight. But he was just plowing through guys. Here's a story, actually. So I knew this guy. He trained me for a little while out of Madison. And he fought Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's prime. And he also, when George Foreman came back to he took after he fought Ali, after he lost to Muhammad Ali, he
Mhm.
took 20 years out and he came back and eventually gained the heavyweight title. But there's a couple comeback bouts. He was just trying to get his feet under him. And so this guy that I know, he actually had one of the rare, I think he's one of only a couple people to have actually fought both George Foreman and Mike Tyson.
Okay.
So I asked him, which I'm sure he's got asked thousands of times, but who hit harder, Mike Tyson or George Foreman? Because these are two of the hardest punching heavyweights of all time. And he told me this story about when he fought Mike Tyson. And this is a big dude. This guy was like 6'4", 250.
Okay.
He hit him, I want to say it was a left hook, and my buddy was literally airborne.
Oh shit.
So I think you could find it on YouTube. So I went back and watched the fight, and sure enough, yeah, he literally airbornes this guy. So like, I mean, Tyson was he was a badass dude, and I mean, mentally very unstable, and like to fucking. He's not the same person. Like, he matured and he's been high for 20 years and on all these antidepressants, and it was just sad watching this, man. And it's not money. I mean, it's not for money. I mean, I can't say that. I mean, who can't use some extra millions? But I mean, Tyson's fairly well off. He lost a lot of money, but he has that marijuana line or whatever that's doing pretty well for him. I think.
Oh, dude, trust me. So he was at TPE this year.
Yeah,
he was at TPE
because Gurkha's got that Tyson cigar too.
Yeah, but he was at TPE in January of this year for his marijuana stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the line to get pictures with him was out of this world. But I don't want to share stories out of school, so I'm going to refrain from saying who told me this story. But they went to get their picture with Tyson, and Tyson was out of his fucking mind, talking about aliens coming and all kinds of other shit. And apparently it took 5 or 6 times for them to get a photo that was decent together, because Tyson just he couldn't take a photo. Like, he was making faces, looking away, doing all kinds of other shit, and like it took like 5 or 6 tries to get a decent picture with Mike.
Yeah, I mean, that checks out. That sounds about right. And I mean, yeah, it's just sad watching, your childhood. Like, you're like, this should not be happening. This is just sad. I mean, it was difficult to watch, and I honestly, I felt dirty watching it. Like, I wanted to take a shower afterwards. Is what I felt like. And I will say, if outside of his bare ass, if this thing did one great thing, it was I don't know if you caught it, but this interview he does with his 8-year-old reporter for her TikTok thing.
Yeah.
Did I send you that? Oh my god.
Is that where he's talking about his legacy?
Yes.
And
yeah.
That
was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
That was Tyson right there, being Tyson. But yeah, that was It was shit.
He basically, what did he say to her? Along the lines of like, I don't care about my legacy. Like, why does anybody care about their legacy?
Well, it was basically like this 8-year-old asking, "Oh, Mike, like, do you think this is going to help your legacy? It's kind of cool to see somebody that my age, to see you fight for it." He's like, what do I care about legacy? That's just a word for ego. You're going to be dead. Who cares about you when you're dead? You did nothing but you're dead. Nobody cares about you. You're dead. And this girl is just like petrified.
Yeah, because she's got no idea how to respond to this at all. Yeah,
and it's just so dark and so Tyson being Tyson.
God, I'll tell you, the slap was probably the best part of this whole thing.
And a lot. See, that's the thing. That's like, the internet's awesome because it's it gets memes everywhere and it does cool shit like that. But all these stupid conspiracy theories too. It's like they're all like, oh, it's staged and shit. No, fucking Jake Paul stepped on his toe. And Tyson was wearing socks. That's why he slapped him. Yeah. It was nothing to sell the fight. It wasn't anything that, I mean, it was just a genuine reaction, like an impulse reaction. And it was good for the promotion probably, but that was a side effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was And yeah, I'm echoing the sentiments of a lot of people. If I could just one word I would summarize, it was just sad. It was just sad.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's the Villiger Cigar
I was gonna
Entertainment.
say. So, have you watched anything else that you do want to highlight?
I watched From. There's 2 episodes left.
Oh yeah,
One, yeah, you got to get on that.
I
But
do.
other than that, just a lot of like trashy background TV, like when you're eating. So I got a lot of 90 Day Fiance shit like that. But, which is
Oh really?
another
Oh
it's
really?
another train wreck.
You into the 90
Uh,
Day Fiance stuff then, huh?
yeah, begrudgingly. It's like a guilty pleasure.
Okay.
But
Um,
seeing how this is a cigar podcast, how is your cigar?
I have finished the ATL Magic.
As
I do not believe you probably have, as you've been doing the bulk of the talking. So I would
it
not.
it went out of me. I
I
did have to.
yeah. Um,
Hmm.
no, I did finish it. I enjoyed it, and I have since. It's a good segue here. I have since lit up a Yagua, and I did so because JC Newman has just shipped the last shipment of Yaguas for 2024. So,
I saw that.
um,
I saw that.
yeah. So if anybody out there in Pulpit Land is listening and you enjoy the Yaguas, be on the lookout because if they haven't hit your lounges already, they should be hitting them soon if they ordered them. And once once they come in, they go pretty quick. So
Yeah,
be
they do.
watching for them. But yeah, I did
I,
pick one
I,
up.
I always like to go and get in that bundle and try to find like the most Frankenstein looking one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, if you're gonna smoke one, smoke the most jacked up shape. I mean,
Mhm.
don't go for one that seems relatively normal. It's like that's part of the fun of that cigar is finding the
Yeah.
one that's like, oh, this one's like a triangle or something like that. It's like
Hmm.
find the weird one. Yeah, but um, very entertaining. So, okay, well, since we've completed that, why don't I attempt? Gotta bring up the thing here. Why don't we now do this? It's time to fly high with Blackbird Cigars. Blackbird Cigars offers you remarkable quality using the most delicate and finest tobacco to always ensure that you're receiving unsurpassed cigars. Blackbird Cigars strives to give you undoubted repeating flavor for every cigar you smoke and impressive quality so that you can always expect greatness. Check out their website for a full list of stores carrying Blackbird Cigars and give them a test flight. Blackbird Cigars can't clip our wings. So, for the Fly High with Blackbird segment, I wanted to find something that was, appropriately themed for the show. And so I found a story, and you might know this story, Noah.
All
So,
right.
when middleweight prospect Danny Jacobs initially saw a
Mm.
doctor in May 2011 because he was experiencing concerning pain in his legs, he came away believing the cause to be a pinched nerve. However, in the weeks following that visit, the problem worsened to the point that he had a wheelchair. He was wheelchair bound from the inability to use his legs. Upon a second doctor's visit, he was told that he had a form of spinal cancer called osteosarcoma, and had he waited even a few more days for a diagnosis, he could have died. Jacobs was able to undergo successful surgery to have the cancer removed, but despite this, was informed that his ability to walk normally was in doubt, much less returning to the sport that had been his life's desire. And with the dual inspiration of being told that he wouldn't be able to fight again, as well as the innate responsibility to provide for his family, Jacobs rigorously rehabilitated, and less than 6 months after the diagnosis, walked up the stairs and through the ropes of the ring at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn to face Josh Luteran. And Luteran was a standing opponent for all of 1:13 of the first round when Jacobs ended the fight with a knockout win. So be like Danny Jacobs and Blackbird Cigars and don't let anybody clip your wings.
Yeah, very famous story. Daniel Jacobs. He was told he would never walk again,
Mm-hmm.
let alone fight again. And not only did he come back and fight, he actually ended up winning a middleweight title, and it was a pretty prominent fighter in the middleweight division until recent years.
Nice.
Yeah.
So see, people can come back. You just got to fight.
That is a very appropriate Blackbird segment. Fly high.
And then, now that we've done that,
Guess what, motherfucker?
it's time for 3 cigars we smoked and enjoyed this week. And I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot. I don't know if you knew that we were going to be doing this or not. But do you have 3 that you wish to highlight?
Yeah, I might have to reference some photos here, but let me see what I got
It's
here.
all right. I'm looking back over my notes, and I'll be honest with you guys. The last week has been me hitting the standbys in the humidor pretty hard. So I have some. To me, I think they're pretty standard responses to this, but nothing completely out of left field, nothing very unusual, nothing that I don't normally smoke on the regular, but something to highlight.
All right, why don't you go first there, Mr. Miller?
Okay, so my first one is the Perdomo 20th Anniversary Sun-Grown Epicure. I bought a box of those at the New England Cigar Expo, and I enjoy it. I go back and forth between whether or not I like the 20th or the 10th or the 30th in terms of this, that, and the other, but realistically, they're all super good, and I do enjoy the 20th a lot. So I've smoked a couple of those, and I enjoyed those.
Yeah, it is a good standby. You can't go wrong with Perdomo.
Nope.
We've actually, here in Wisconsin, we've actually had some pretty nice weather for this time period. Usually it's snow and like 30 degrees cooler, but it's been mid-50s and sunny. So I've actually today I smoked the fantastic cigar I've been smoking. I think it came out this year, I believe.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've had any of these, but it's the Trinidad cigar. They do the Espiritu series. So every year they release. So this is volume 3.
I've not had that.
I bet you I smoked a box of these.
Really?
At least. And it's a San Andreas wrapper. This is the Mexico one. So it's got the San Andreas wrapper, Nicaragua binder and filler, and it's a Series 3 Espiritu by Trinidad. Fantastic cigar.
I remember having that when it first came out. And
Series 1?
Yeah. And I don't believe I ever had a Series 2. And now they're all the way up to Series 3. So, no, yeah. So.
Yeah, they changed the, I don't know, I know for sure they changed the wrapper every year.
Okay.
But I think it might be a totally different cigar every year. But yeah, they're solid and pretty high quality cigar, especially for the price. I want to say it's like 10, 12 in that range somewhere, but it's an excellent cigar.
Yeah, see, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
And actually, my next 2 kind of piggyback off of that. So my next one is the McAuliffe Black Toro. I've smoked a number of those lately, tapping into the box that I bought of that at the New England Cigar Expo. I've got that. I have a humidor in my office, little desktop one, and that's where I have 3 boxes worth of cigars in that humidor, and it's it's kind of my box of current go-tos, and that's going to be the 3 that I'm smoking this week. So yeah, the McAuliffe Black, I've been smoking quite a few of those lately.
Yeah, it's a great cigar. I can never decide if I like the black or the blue. It's kind of whatever I'm in the mood for. But yeah, both just great cigars.
Have you had the red?
I have not had the red yet. No.
Okay. I've had one of the red, and I cannot decide where the red falls for me in terms of like which one I like better. The black definitely I think still takes the top spot. I just don't know if I like the red or the blue better. I think I'm leaning towards the red than the blue.
Interesting. The
So what's your
second one I had is the AJ Fernandez New World Enclave with the Oscuro wrapper.
Okay.
It's a solid smoke.
You know, the New World cigars, I feel like they tend to get a little overlooked, but for the price point on those things, they're really good.
Yeah, they're the Enclave broadleaf is one of my favorite broadleafs out there.
Okay.
Especially
Okay.
the Torpedo. But yeah, it's a good cigar, and yeah, I want to say it was like $8. It's in like the $8 range. So
That's
yeah.
the thing, you know. Anything, you know, I've been toying with the idea of revisiting the battle of the budgets, but kind of upping the price point a little bit to doing like $8 and below,
Mhm.
and seeing, you know, kind of what I can pull in for that. Because
Did you maybe even consider like top 25 Toros under $10?
somebody beat me to that, so
Mm.
you know, yeah. But no, I you know, I had thought about that, but then they did that, so it's kind of like, well, whatever. But they didn't rank it. They didn't determine who the best one was.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think. I mean, they named off the 25, but I don't think they were in any particular order, were they?
no, I don't think so.
That wasn't my impression, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they did, you know, list them and
Yeah.
all the way up to one, but I don't think I think they were. Yeah, I think it was just random.
well, speaking of another one that was at least in that list, is my last one, which is the Chartero Cabano in the Toro size. And I've been smoking the hell out of those lately, too. Those three cigars, like I said, I know what I'm getting with all of them. I enjoy what I'm getting with all of them. They've been great for just having a quick smoke. And, you know, and that's the thing. I'm looking at my list. I'm only averaging maybe one or two a day right now because it's been very busy. But then also, you know, temperature-wise, you know, we've been a little chilly in the evening, and it seems like with my day, the evening has been the best time of day for me to actually have a cigar. And so it has been a little on the chilly side in the evenings. And so I'm not getting, you know, multiple in a day. I'm getting like maybe one, possibly two, you know.
Yeah.
Like, for example, today, I haven't had one today until we sat down to record. So, you know, for today, I'm going to have the ATL Magic and the Yagua. So.
Yeah, and this time of year too, I kind of steer away from anything without a sturdier wrap or two.
Yeah.
With the weather changing track, and so yeah, I'm basically done with Connecticut shade.
Well,
for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, because you got to worry about cracks and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
And
to top off my list, I had
what's your last one?
All Saints St. Francis.
Good cigar.
Great cigar, yeah.
Yep. I had a dedication not too terribly long ago, and you know, it's one of those things that there's only a few places in the St. Louis area that carry All Saints, and I just haven't been by one lately that does. And you know,
they're kind of hard to find locally as well.
Yeah, but you know, it's they're there. You know where they are, and you know that they're good. So whenever you do find them, you know they're a nice little treat. But yeah,
All Saints was one of the few brands that I had. I think I smoked a couple St. Francis singles and a couple dedication, and then I bought a box blind of a cigar I've never had. I don't think I've ever done that with any other cigar, but I like the other one so much that I got a box of the Colorados without trying any, just, you know, based on the quality of the other ones, and did not disappoint. That is a great cigar.
I do like the Colorados. I remember when Mickey came out with the Colorados, and I saw him at TPE, and he let me have one, and it was a fine cigar. I do enjoy the Colorados.
Yeah,
so.
that might be my favorite actually of the All Saints.
Okay. Well, very cool. Well, I think that's all the actual business that we have to attend to. I mean, I have I do have the socials. So for those of you who want to follow me on the socials, I am available on Instagram at the Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. Twitter/X where at some point I need to start ramping up a little bit more. Oh, excuse me. I need to look into maybe they have a video component, but I think I need to subscribe. I think I need to pay money for that, so I need to look into how that works. And then in terms of other socials, I'm available on Rumble, where you can find the video of this podcast. I'm available on Spotify video, so if you're listening on Spotify, you can just click the little thing and you can actually watch it if you so desire. And for right now, I am on YouTube. I haven't gotten my other strikes yet. Believe it or not, my rant about YouTube is still up and going and collecting views. So,
if anything should earn a strike, you would think it would be that.
You would think it would have been that, but maybe that's too on the nose. Maybe they don't want to strike you for speaking out against them. But anyway, so I am on YouTube for now, and you can check me out there. So, and where can people follow you, Noah?
I am primarily on Instagram at Mr. Zalesnik. I have been kind of experimenting a little bit with the thread component that they have there recently. But I've basically just been doing like fight predictions and stuff on there.
Okay.
I don't really have a following or anything there. I'm not entirely sure how the fucking thing works, to be honest with you.
I think it's basically just Meta's version of Twitter, isn't it?
Something like that. I don't know.
Which, I mean, I don't know. It's been so fun to watch post-election, not to get into all that. But, everybody's like trying to find a new home, instead of Twitter because we don't want to be on Twitter anymore. And, I remember this back in 2020, when Biden won, there was the whole, where do we go other than Twitter and blah, blah, blah. And
that's how a lot of the shit was formed. Yeah. Rumble came out of that. Parler came out of that.
Rumble came out. Parler came out. Was MeWe? Did MeWe come out of that too?
Yeah, I think so too.
I think, and
True Social.
Yeah. And now what is it? Blue Sky?
I heard about that for the first time the other day.
I think it's a Twitter wannabe. Mastodon is another one that I'd heard about, but I heard about that one first when Musk bought Twitter, but I'm hearing about it again now that the election took place, and whatever.
He's got enough money. He should just buy all those and just really piss them off.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, at this point, I feel like social media is so fucking fragmented that there's really nowhere, to get like a massive audience. I mean, I guess you can still get massive audiences, but it's just so fragmented. And honestly, I think people are kind of like, and maybe this is me being optimistic, but I've seen a lot more people saying like, I'm really over social media and I'm bailing and I'm pulling back from it. So maybe we're seeing a bit of people kind of saying enough is enough.
Yeah, which wouldn't be a bad thing, honestly.
Oh, dude, there's so much fucked up about social media. I mean, this, and I've ranted about this before on the show, but like the least of which is the impact that it's having on our children. Social media is so bad for kids, so incredibly bad for kids. But I do think it's also incredibly damaging for adults as well. And, here we are. But I don't know.
That's why I got drawn to Instagram, just because you get pretty pictures.
Exactly.
Just kind of filter what, I like to see these. That's what I want to see.
I want to see pretty. That's exactly it. I want pretty pictures. And then it became fucking TikTok Lite. And it's like, well, okay. Which, I mean, you and I trade enough videos back and forth that I guess we're embracing that aspect to some degree. But
it's hard not to.
I know, but at the same time, it's like I do just want pretty pictures. That's all I ever wanted from Instagram was pretty pictures. And now, I don't know about you, but when I go on my feed, like I maybe see a post from like one person that I follow. Then I see maybe 3 or 4 sponsored or not even suggested posts from accounts I don't even follow. I have no connection to whatsoever. Then I see a couple of recommended accounts. Then I might see one more post from somebody I actually follow. I don't see probably 98% of the shit that the people that I actually follow put out.
Yeah, they do some sort of algorithm. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but Instagram must think I'm some weird, twisted fuck. But with all this shit they suggest me, that's for sure.
They think that?
Yeah, I kind of get no reason to think that. But.
Oh well, trust me, with the shit that you and I send back and forth to each other, I think they know exactly who they're dealing with the two
I'm
of
probably
us.
on a database somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say Meta has a list of people they're sending to the government. Like, you need to watch these guys. Yeah, right.
That's fair.
Well, final thoughts on your cigar there. You got your Magic Reloaded.
Yeah, your tasting notes at the front, I think, kind of hit it on the head. I got some leather, some I wouldn't go as far as to call it espresso, but definitely some coffee notes.
Little bit of
coffee,
little pepper on the retrohale, not a ton.
On the nose, yeah.
Yeah. No, all in all, fine cigar, and and I'm digging my Yagua here. It's got that nice barnyard component to it that I know and love so well from this cigar. So
yeah, I have switched to an Villiger Export, which are just very handily available. I had some. I had a package in my coat here, so it's readily available when the situation calls for it. So
very cool, very cool. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening on a Sunday for this. I appreciate it.
It was therapeutic to get it all off my chest. I've been just screaming into a pillow about the whole shit.
Well, I appreciate your perspective because you boxed, and so real quick. So we briefly touched on it, just to circle back before we complete this episode. Give us a boxing story of your career. Like tell us about something like interesting or cool that you did.
There's so many stories. Let's see here. Okay, here's one, and I actually will tie in a little bit to Cigar, so it's kind of perfect, right?
There you go.
Okay. So, like I said, I would do pro-am shows a lot of times. So basically what I would do is I would be the headliner of the amateur, the main event of the amateur, as you would say. And then once I would get done fighting, I would just go into the audience and watch the professionals fight.
Okay.
And people would reckon if it was in a like a venue especially a venue that served alcohol, they would recognize me from just watching me in the stands, and they would come and talk to me as I'm watching the fights. And I would often, back in those days, you could actually smoke. And a lot of the places I fought in were called smokers. I don't know if you ever heard that term, but basically club level shows you would have in banquet halls. So like, actually, I think this story might be in your neck of the woods, but it was in St. Charles, Missouri.
Yeah, that's like less than an hour from me.
Yeah, at this banquet hall, and in this smoke-filled arena. So you'd have like, I don't know if it was like, I can't remember exactly if it was in a hotel banquet hall or if it was just a standalone banquet hall, but basically you would pay and you'd have dinner and you'd watch. They'd have the ring in the center of this room, and you eat your dinner and you could smoke. Well, by the time you got to fighting, especially later on the card, the fucking whole room is just
filled with smoke.
And I could barely see half the times, and it would burn my eyes. But I was smoking back then. I had my first cigar when I was 18. So by the time I was like 19, 20, I'm smoking, cigars. And
it's a great environment to fucking get like wiped out and gassed in. It's like can't catch your breath because there's so much fucking cigar smoke in the air.
Exactly. Yeah, it toughens you up.
I bet.
I was in the audience, and I had lit up a cigar, and I would often, if I won, especially, I would have, like a celebratory cigar in the stands watching the fights.
Yeah.
And I had this drunk guy come up to me with a group of his friends, and the usual, like, oh, great job fighting, whatever. And this guy says, hey, I need you to meet my friend. And I was like, okay. And he goes, his name is Asshole.
Okay.
And I said, what? He's like, yeah, his name is Asshole. He says, like, I don't understand. Is it like his nickname? No, his name is Asshole. So he takes out his ID, and his actual name is Asshole.
What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. And so it was kind of weird. It was kind of uncomfortable encounter or whatever. And they kind of went their way. And then, like 10 minutes later, it dawned on me, holy shit, I need to find this fucking guy and ask, did you change your name to Asshole, or were you born with the name Asshole?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't know which version is more fucked up.
First name or last name?
Yeah, his first name's Asshole.
So his first name is Asshole.
His
So
first
like
name is Asshole.
So like Asshole Jones or something like that.
Yeah. So
okay.
And I was like, oh my god, it's one of those moments you're like, oh my god, I wish I would have said this. So I went to fucking find this guy, and I couldn't find this guy. So to this day, I don't know if this guy changed his name to Asshole, if his birth name was fucking Asshole, if he just bought like this fake ID, like a McLovin thing that said Asshole.
Oh my god.
But it fucking drove me nuts for like months after.
Mm-hmm. All right then. So somewhere in the St. Charles, Missouri area, there might be a guy running around with the name of Asshole.
Yeah, and here's a little bonus one in that same area.
Okay.
East St. Louis.
Okay.
So my boxing trainer at the time, he lived in Chicago. He was older when I met him, so I probably met him when he was in the 70s, 80s.
Okay.
So in the 60s, he got into boxing because Muhammad Ali lived in the Chicago area in the 60s.
Okay.
And that's actually where he got exposed to Muslim religion. It was one of the guys that sell newspapers in the streets of Chicago. Anyway, long story short, my trainer does a friendship with him, and he starts supplying sparring partners for Ali, and they join and they get this friendship going. And then a couple of years later, they maintain this friendship, and Muhammad Ali had a younger brother named, so at the time it was Cassius Clay was Muhammad Ali's name, right?
Yeah.
So his brother was named Rudy Clay. And then once Muhammad switched to Muhammad Ali, his brother also joined the religion, and he became Rahman Ali.
Okay.
And he became a fighter too, and my trainer managed him. And so years later, he got a phone call. My trainer got a phone call from Rahman Ali, Muhammad Ali's brother. And if you ever watch any YouTube videos, any like Ali interviews growing up, you always see his brother in the background. Like there's like one famous video where like Ali and Frazier are in the, I want to say it was like Mike Wallace interview, and then Muhammad Ali's brother gets involved, and there's a big skirmish. Anyway, anytime you see Ali, you're always going to see his brother in the background. But anyway, so he got a phone call from Rahman later on, a couple years later, back when this is in Eau Claire now, years later.
Yeah.
And his son, Rahman's son, wanted to become a boxer, and he was living in East St. Louis. So me, my dad, and my boxing trainer went to East St. Louis to pick up this Muhammad Ali's. It would be Muhammad Ali's nephew.
Yeah.
His name is Eben. Well, I didn't know anything about East St. Louis, and neither did my dad. And so
when would this have been?
Oh my God. 2000 and see, it was about right around 2000, 2001, 2002 maybe.
Yeah, so it was definitely rough.
Yeah, so we're driving around at night in East St. Louis
Not a good
in this gold Cadillac.
Not a good call, buddy. Not a good
And
call.
yeah, and my dad doesn't give a shit about anything. He's not intimidated by anything. So he's leaning on the this Cadillac, and all these people are thinking he's crazy or he's a cop.
Yeah.
But either way, nobody fucked with him. And anyways, we bring Eben back to Eau Claire, and then his dad soon followed. So there was a time I was probably a sophomore in high school, junior in high school, where I was living with Muhammad Ali's nephew, Muhammad Ali's brother, and they would pick me up from school. So I'd be like, I'd have a Cadillac waiting for me outside, and it'd be Muhammad Ali's brother, Muhammad Ali's nephew waiting. So
that's fucking cool.
Yeah, we got to hang out and kind of be close over the years. And I mean, this is what, 2020, I graduated 2002, so like 2000, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool.
No, that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have gone down to East St. Louis at night in that period of time, but whatever.
Live and learn.
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Well, at least you lived, so that's what matters.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, see, you've got stories. That's good.
Yeah, I got stories, and like I said, I was smoking, and I would oftentimes I would tie in a victory with that's kind of really what launched me into heavy cigar smoking was, in a celebratory sense.
So what you're saying is you were good. You won a lot.
Well, I did have a winning record, but the quality of the cigar depended on if I won or lost. If I was smoking Padrones, it was a good day.
There you go. Now we need to get you out of retirement so that we can set up something maybe with the micro wrestling league.
Oh, I could fuck up some midgets, man.
I'm just saying. I think that would be fun. I think that's what we need to think about.
I would take on, honestly, like, all kidding aside, I think about fighting all the time, and I was like, oh gosh, I miss fighting, and then I start thinking about my second thought is, oh my god, I hated making weight. If anybody's ever had to make weight,
yeah,
it's the worst thing, whether it's wrestling or boxing. It's the worst fucking thing in the world. I could tell you stories, man. Like in professional boxing, they do day before weigh-ins now.
Yeah.
And so you're depleting your body to such an extent where it's routine. It's commonplace. Just a fight I saw the other night, you're gaining 20 pounds overnight.
Really?
Yeah, so you'll dehydrate your body, and then you have a whole day to rehydrate. So you're gaining like 20 pounds. So like you have weight classes, and all you have to do is make that weight on the weigh-in, but then you have the whole other day to
get back to where.
Yeah, rehydrate. So I have so many. Like I remember watching the guy gain like 1.5 pounds from a glass of milk once.
Good God.
Just all these crazy ways to make weight. It's just it was brutal, man. All the shit we used to do, we didn't even know at the time. Probably like we used to. I remember in like bigger tournaments, we'd be around, and I don't know the science behind it, but everybody was doing it where they would snort salt water.
Okay.
To like cauterize your nose so you wouldn't bleed.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know if it actually worked or if it was like a mental thing. It probably has some like lasting damage. That's probably why I never got COVID.
Oh, there you go.
Salt water. But,
so why did you stop?
So I fought until I was about 20. My last fight was at 21, but I had injured my hand training for a fight, and I was supposed to have hand surgery, but I took off some time just to let my hand heal. And then 2 months became 6 months, and during that time I discovered alcohol. And the draw to get back and make weight and all that just
wasn't
before I knew it. I wasn't fighting anymore, and I should have probably got hand surgery, but live and learn, I guess.
Yeah, it happens.
I'm saving it in the tank to fight Jake Paul.
I was just about to say, if somebody came up to you right now and said, in 3 months, are you fighting Jake Paul?
So realistically, you know, what is he, 27, 28?
Yeah.
I'm 40, and to get into training camp, my fighting, I'm probably about, I don't know, 15 pounds above my fighting weight. So to get down at 40 years old, to get to my fighting weight, Jake Paul is going to outweigh me probably by about 20 pounds, 30 pounds. But
Especially
I would do
if
it.
it's in Texas and he's juicing.
Yeah, exactly. I would do it. I'm not saying I would necessarily win, but I would put up a better fight than Mike Tyson, and it would be my pleasure just to punch Jake Paul in the face at least once.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll go ahead and say, guys, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick.
This is Noah.
Everybody stay safe and stay smoky. I just really wanted Tyson to take a bite out of his ear.
Dude, did you see the shit he was doing, biting his gloves?
Yes, I did. What was up with that?
So he's always kind of done that.
He did it a lot, though.
Yeah, he did it more than he normally does, but it's just kind of like a nervous tick. You see, you don't really see it that extreme. I can't think off the top of my head anybody biting the gloves, but like you'll see guys like adjust their shorts a lot. I used to adjust my cup all the time. It's just like a nervous tick to kind of get recentered. But yeah, I've never seen anybody bite their gloves that much. He's always done it, but not to that extreme.
Well, they asked him about it in the post-fight interview thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they asked him about it, and he said, "Yeah, I've always done that." And the guy said, "Why?" And Tyson goes, "Well, I just got a bit of a biting habit." And everybody kind of just fucking laughed because obviously, when you think about Tyson and biting, you're thinking about the ear. But, that was an odd, you're right. That was an odd little thing that I did notice throughout the fight was him biting the glove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he bit Holyfield's ear, but he also kind of, people forget too, there was promoting the Lennox Lewis fight. They had a big rumble at the press conference.
Yeah.
And next thing Lennox Lewis knows is Tyson's on top of him and biting his leg.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So yeah, he's always had a biting fixation. So he ain't lying.
Now here's the thing that I think this fight was missing. If there's one, aside from the fact that Mike Tyson barely threw a fucking punch, if there was one component they should have fucking found a way to try and tie into this, they should have got Don King back in there.
He's still alive.
I know he is.
He's still promoting, not to the level he was, but I think he's got a couple fighters. But he's like 93, and he still can fucking promote. He's
doing a lot in Canada from what I read online.
Yeah, he still can sell shit, man. He's still boisterous as hell, and yeah, Tyson, he fucking fucked Tyson over millions of dollars over the years.
Oh, man. So that may not have been a happy split.
No, it definitely was not a happy split. No.
Well, then okay. So we're not going to see Tyson and King one more time.
No, for sure not.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.